Shomru b'nei Yisrael Emes HaShabbos V'asois es HaShabbos.
Hello, Sukkah is fast approaching, so we're going to continue where we left off last year and learn a few of the laws of Sukkah. And last year we left off Tafresh Lamed Tes, that is 639, Seif Hey. And we're learning about the mitzvah to sit in the Sukkah. One of the mitzvahs in Sukkah is to sit and eat in the Sukkah. So let's learn about some of these laws. Yardu Geshamim Hareze Nichnas L'toch Habayis. Let's say you're in the Sukkah and it's raining, so as you go in the house. When are you allowed to go into the house? You're allowed to go in the house when it's raining to the point where if the water would fall into the food, the drops of water would fall into the food, it would ruin the food. Even if it's just a meal of beans. Says the Rama, and the Rama says, even if you don't have food in front of you, if it would rain and it would ruin your food, you can go in. And the Rama says, and if you're not such an expert exactly how much rain that is, he says if it's raining to the point in your house, if there was like a leak in your house, and you would leave your house because there's water dripping on me, then you could leave the sukkah. Now, all of this is for the entire sukkah except for the first night. We're going to discuss the special laws about the first night. Okay, let's see the Mishnah Berurah on what we did so far. Mishnah Berurah says, Yardu Geshamim, the water comes down. Ukashem shemefana mipnei hageshamim, kach mefana mipnei hashar vayitushim. Just like you go in because of the rain, so too you can go in for like flies and insects and stuff. Vafilo eina adam mitztayer bekach, ela shehamaychel miskachu bekach. Now, even if they don't bother you, but they're ruining the food, then you can go inside. V'hu adina ma'es kar shamachalim hashmenim nikrashim lefanav. Now he says also if it's super cold that the food starts like congealing, the oily food starts to like congeal and to like freeze. Not necessarily freeze, just like, when fatty food gets cold, it congeals. So then you could eat it in the house if it's that cold. We probably will not have that issue in New Jersey this year, especially since Sukkot is very early and it is very hot, although today is very nice. In the 70s and a nice breeze. And he says you don't have to go back into the sukkah. Let's say you leave the sukkah because it's too cold and all your food is congealing. So if you're done with that dish and you could eat a food that doesn't get messed up in the cold weather, you don't have to go back to the sukkah. Once you leave in the middle of the meal, you can stay in your house. The same rule is if you leave the sukkah when it rains. If you leave the sukkah when it rains, and you finish your meal inside, you don't have to like keep checking outside. Oh, did it stop raining yet? Did it stop raining yet? To go back in the sukkah. If you're inside, then you do not have to go back in the sukkah. You could finish your meal inside. She'ein tzarich lachzor ad she'igmor suvidaso afilu pasku geshamim. V'kasav v'kur Yaakov di'im afshel l'takin b'lo torech gadol shelo yikushu ha'machalim k'gon she'yinechem al kaira she'mayim chamim b'sochel tzarich l'takin v'eino pater ay dekach b'sukkah. So he says, let's say you have this food, you don't want to eat it congealed. When it gets very cold, and you can take a hot plate of like hot water on it or do something so your food doesn't congeal and it will not get ruined, then you should do that and you should not go inside. That's what he says. Okay, but I don't think we're going to have this issue this year in New Jersey. If you are listening in Alaska, then this halacha will be very relevant to you. I think there was a place, someone told me once, it's very, very cold and they had like space heaters around the entire sukkah, but you have to be careful of that. You don't want your sukkah to burn down. Okay. Let's say it's very windy, and the wind blows the parts of the schach, like wood chips, into your food, and you can't eat in the sukkah. Then you could also go inside. Let's say you're sitting in the sukkah and it's only raining in part of the sukkah. You should eat in the part of the sukkah where it's not raining. It could be that you even make a blessing of leishev b'sukkah. And he says, let's say that you're the type of person that is very finicky. I don't know if that's the right word. You're very sensitive to discomfort. So then you would. It sounds like even there, you could go outside. But he says for sure, no one should make a blessing. You should, so you can go inside, but you should for sure not make a blessing if it's raining on one side of the sukkah. The reason instead of beans is because they get messed up very quickly. Okay, so this was just, again, talking about the eating in the sukkah and if it rains on the other nights of sukkahs, besides for the first night. Well, God willing, talk about what happens if it rains on the first night of sukkahs, but that's going to be a little different. But on the other nights of sukkahs, if it rains, or it's so cold that your food's getting ruined, or it's so windy that there's wood chips going in your food, then you are allowed to eat in your house and go into your house, and you are not required to go back into the sukkah once you started eating in the house, even if it stops raining. Wishing everyone a good Shabbos and a Gemara Chasima Tova.